we go. Here we go. We're going to record a podcast, but the video first for the Patreon people.
Ooh, that should be our unofficial. Ooh, today's going to be hard because I don't have words, apparently. Unofficial,
0 words.
Our jingle. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah, our jingle. That sounds good. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Good thing we recorded it because I don't remember what it was.
It was very complicated. Those lyrics
It was
were
inspired,
intense.
though. I think that's probably what it was. It was inspired.
You were moved by the song gods. Sure. Hi, Patreon.
The song gods. There's got to be a god of song. Who's the god of song? Anyway, let's move on. Symposius Orchestris. And we're silly today.
We're offending somebody.
Some Greek mythologist out there is like Aphrodite or whatever. Nuts goddess of love. Yeah. Anyway.
I thought that was Venus. Oh, but there's like Greek and then there's other. There's somebody else.
Don't try to sound smart.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Guys, it's been a week
there's
here.
Greek and then there's other. Let's just stick to weddings.
I know, let's stick to weddings. That's true. Dan's all dressed up looking nice. Friends, I'm in a sweatshirt because I have been having to have my face on all week and it's Friday here. So this is what you're getting. Friday. But I'm excited because we're talking about good stuff today for sure.
This is going to be a good one. I was saying, we were talking a little bit before we started even recording the video about like, just that this is like it's a good one, right? Like I remember leading up to our wedding, how, well, we're going to hop in the episode and we'll talk into that. Yeah, we'll save it. Save it. Oh, can I lead us in?
Oh, I don't know. Do you know how? Are you any good at it?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you like
Ready?
even? Oh, for those playing along at home, I'm not going to say right as much.
I'm going to say like a whole bunch probably. And I say a lot.
Guys, we know. It's just, we're trying.
Yeah. I feel like it's a normal conversation, though. Like, we don't edit it out. And it's just, it's off the cuff for me. That's how my brain works.
It is, but I feel as though we can always learn from our behaviors and things that we're doing. And, excuse me, guys, sorry, I burped. So I'm going to add more gas, less, right? And we'll see how we do, right?
Right.
I swear to God, that just came out.
But that's a normal one. That was a good one. That was fine. Okay. Ready? 99. 98. Dad joke.
I'm going to go paint my toenails. I'll be right back.
And in 5, 4, 3. Take it away, Danielle.
Every single time you say that. I think that's starting to become our thing now, Dan.
Yeah.
How are you?
You run the episode. I'm very well. I'm good.
I
follow your
run
lead.
The episode?
You really do. I just that you like have the brains and the words and the logistics, and I'm here for the comedic relief and the emotional side of things. That's what I've come to decide.
I 100% agree. I've been telling people a lot lately that Dan is the heart of the show. I am the brain, and together we keep this thing trucking forward. That
is a really apt description of our podcast.
I'm really glad you don't take offense to that. Phew. Okay, that makes me really happy. Okay,
100%
good.
Not. I mean, have you seen any of the outlines I've tried to make? I have not
ever seen any outline that you've made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think I made one for something.
Good for you. Good for you, Dan. No, while I say that, I very much think that you bring a ton of really good thoughts and knowledge to every single episode. So I don't mean that you're just an idiot with a big heart. I basically don't mean that.
Thanks, Danielle.
You're welcome. But no, we are going to be talking about what are we talking about today? We're talking about the final days before the wedding. We talk a lot on this podcast about the wedding day, and I think that's apt because we are a wedding podcast, right? Totally fair. But in all reality, there is a chunk of time that leads up to your wedding day, just before the wedding happens, that we wanna dive deeper on. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good. I'm very excited.
And this can be, what we're going to talk about could be just the final day before your wedding. It could be spread out over the last few days. Yeah, exactly. I think for a lot of what we're going to talk about, we may go off of an assumption that the wedding is happening on a Saturday, just because I think most
Yep.
weddings happening on a Saturday. So if we're saying Friday or Thursday or referencing specific days, I guess I want to make that clear right from the get-go that we might be doing that
Point.
from a headspace of assuming your day's on a Saturday, but we realize your day might not be on a Saturday. It might be on a Tuesday, in which case that's amazing. So
Yeah, and the other side of things is that we're both from the Northeast, from Pennsylvania. So some of the things that we talk about are regional, and some of them are cultural. So if you're on the West Coast, some things might be different out there. So just keep that in mind as well.
yeah, we're not going to focus too much on the things that may be specific to your family traditions or your cultures or religious whatevers, because there's obviously so many different things that can happen before. We're just going to, peel it back a little bit more and talk about just the other real stuff, the outside of the event stuff that's happening. So
Yeah, the lead up to it.
yeah, and I think where we want to start with this all, Dan, is something that you are very particularly passionate about, and you want to share a whole lot of stuff. So do you want to start us off with
Yeah. Yep. I feel like there's this point at which couples are planning and they're going through everything, and they get to this point where like you're both kind of like done with work, or like the next thing on your calendar, your schedule is the wedding. Like that's the next big thing, right? And so for Rachel and I, since I'm a wedding photographer, I had a wedding 2 weeks before our wedding. Nicolette and Stuart. Oh, they're the best. And that wedding was on the 14th, and we did everything we possibly could. Our wedding was on the 28th for that following week after that wedding to get our plates cleared. And on the 21st, we went to the beach, and we had this like reconnection time. And I've talked about this a couple times on the podcast, but I think this is really important for couples, that with all the minutia and the craziness of like the 3 months leading up to the wedding, it's really easy to forget about the purpose of the wedding, about family and fun and friends and hanging out and everybody coming together and party and drinks and, marriage and being together and committing yourself to each other. That like, it's just easy to forget about that stuff. So there's this time where you need to like refocus and reconnect on what the wedding is about. And so Rachel and I went to the beach, and we had a whole week after that where we were just doing wedding things. We still did normal everyday things, but I think that is really important, and that kind of starts everything off. We'll talk about a little bit about the rehearsal and some other things to do the day before the wedding and 2 days before the wedding. But I think that is the most important thing. That maybe it's if your wedding's on a Saturday and you're both done working on a Wednesday, right? Maybe you take Wednesday night to like go have dinner together, or go have dinner together, and the next morning you go have brunch, and you like you can just talk about your excitement, or maybe you don't talk about the wedding at all. Whatever it is, you just need to have this time where you just like allow the excitement to build again, because it's there. It's like really almost there, and I think that's really going to heighten your experience and make the whole process more enjoyable. So find a time to just reconnect and refocus on the wedding and get excited about it. Okay?
Yeah, I very much agree with that. I think that's a wonderful thing. Very well said, Dan. See, you bring the words to this. You got it.
That's it. That's all I got in this episode. Go ahead, Danielle. The rest is yours.
Yeah, you go take a nap. You'll be good.
Oh, I need to take a nap. Babies were up all night.
Oh, I'm sorry. Drink that coffee, brother. All right.
That's it.
So there's also a lot that tends to happen, right, as you lead into the wedding day. And as Dan said, it's only going to start building, right? And I recommend at this point, wherever you're at in the planning process, to have a conversation with your partner about what those final days, what you want them to look like, right? Do you need relaxation? Do you need excitement? Do you need thrill? Whatever it is that you need, let's start thinking about what future self needs in that moment. And part of that is that how much time do you want to spend together as a couple? Because for some of you, you may want to, for a hetero couple, you may want to spend, for our bride, she may want to spend all the time with her girls, and for the groom, he might want to spend like a good bit of time with his guy buddies, going golfing or doing whatever. But I do think it's important at this stage to have a conversation about what each of you may want and what the other person is expecting. Because I think the last thing I would want is for me to think, oh, we're going to spend all this time together, and then find out my partner is making plans with his buddies, and I'm like, oh, oh, so we're not spending time together, because that would chip my heart a little bit, you know. Not that one's right or wrong. I guess that's what I want to say.
Yeah, but it's just be about being on the same page. And I think, at that, 1 week prior to our wedding meeting, Rachel had a list, and we had wedding to-do list, things that we needed to do, right? There was drop some stuff off at the venue. There was, some of her cousin was coming in a couple days early. But like one of the things on that list was practice our first dance. Right. So there's like put the things on there that will be fun. Put the other things on there. Like I had to mow the lawn and blow the, lawn clippings out of the backyard because we were having our pizza party rehearsal dinner at the house, the night before the wedding. So, as you like go through that process, lay it all out. Right. And know that again, when Rachel and I got married, part of the day or 2 days before the wedding was me dropping stuff off at the venue. And so my cousin came down and, we all went over there, and my, the photographer that, who's a good friend of mine, he went over to take a look at the venue. So we all chummed around and had some dude time, and, it was a good time. But everything was generally speaking planned. So that way Rachel and I knew what to expect of each other.
Right. I think that is a really great way to go about it, for sure.
Yeah.
I think as a planner side of it, because I have not yet gone through that experience that you have, Dan.
Yep.
Working on it, guys. That is something where I tend to be the sounding board a lot for my couples, and especially that last week. If they're venting, they're probably coming to me because they know that I'm willing and very happy to help talk them through that, or just listen, whatever they need. And that is a common thing that I think I do hear from my brides, is that okay, well, he's just off doing his thing, so I guess I now need to do this, this, and this. And for those of you that are listening to this together, I think be there for your partner, and like Dan said, plan so that you're showing up in the best way possible for each other in that moment. So, because it's a big deal. It's a big week, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
okay.
Dan, you did a pizza party for your rehearsal dinner, and it is really common for couples to have their, there's two often big events that happen just before a wedding, and that's your rehearsal and your rehearsal dinner. Sometimes they're the same night. Most cases they're the same night. Sometimes it's broken up a little bit more to give more room to extend the party.
Yeah.
But instead of going really down the rabbit hole in this episode, Dan and I realized we did already 2 episodes on rehearsals and rehearsal dinners.
Yep.
Okay. Episode 26, wedding rehearsals and rehearsal dinners. We were so creative with that name.
Yep. Yeah.
As well as episode 54, where we talked literally about how to run a ceremony rehearsal, everything from why you should have a rehearsal, who you should invite, where, when it should be, how long it should, all of that stuff. I really broke it down. So please go back and listen to that if you want to dig into that idea a little bit more.
You just said broke it down, and all I could think was break it down now. I don't know. I just thought
nice. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
good job.
Anyway.
Yeah. Overall, I think with these events, one of the things that I want to make sure that we say is keep in mind that you have a very long day the next day. Your wedding day is going to be a long day. So as you lead into all this, everything that we're going to be talking about, keep in mind that you're gearing up for the marathon that's going to be your wedding day, and try to have some grace set for yourself as you kind of go through that process and decide what it is you do and don't want to do.
Yep.
All right.
So while we're kind of on this topic of, rehearsal dinner and the rehearsal are kind of group activities, but there are other group activities that you might want to schedule to maximize the fun of the wedding, right?
Right. Yeah. I think that a common one is that, guys, I'm trying. I think a common one is that that welcome event, which is your event that happens after the rehearsal dinner, where you invite everybody that's coming from out of town, or just everybody in general, where people can just hang out. It can be hosted. It doesn't have to be hosted. You can just say, hey, we're going to be at this place at this time and if you want to come join us for drinks or whatever, this is where we're going to be at that time. We'd love to see you. If not, we'll see you the next day. And it's this very low-key thing that is a lot of fun.
Yeah. This is one of the things that I really like about destination weddings. And sometimes destination might only mean just everybody's driving an hour or something. But there's this since people are all traveling there, there's like an excitement about when people get there. And a lot of times, if everybody's traveling in on a Wednesday, Thursday night, they have like this like big shindig where it's not the rehearsal dinner. It's not a rehearsal. It's just hey, everybody come and hang out and let's all catch up. Right. And so, just because you may or may not be having a destination wedding, you can add that onto the rehearsal dinner after the dinner, right? Like, so maybe the dinner, and we talk about this in, episode 54, I think, but, if the dinner is, close family and stuff, you have this other thing afterwards. That's the party, that's the hangout. That's what Rachel and I did in our backyard. Not everybody came to the actual rehearsal. Not everybody needed to come to the actual rehearsal, but we just like a lot of people were traveling in. We said, hey, we're having a pizza party. Come see our house. Come play yard games and, enjoy a night away from kiddos or whatever it was,
Right. And it wasn't this like expensive formal event. It was just low key, a ton of fun. And like you said, pizza.
You were there.
You guys love pizza. I
awesome.
was there. I was there for a hot second. That is true. All right. I also would challenge you guys to maybe think outside the box a little bit. What's regional to your area that maybe you can do? What kind of experience do you want to give your guests? Do you want to kick off festivities in a really formal way? There is nothing wrong with that, right? Do you want it to be something that is more low key? Do you want it to be something that is like high intensity thrilling? Mike and I are actually going to a family wedding in August on the West Coast. And one of the things that they're doing the day before is they are planning this whitewater rafting excursion that we're like, yeah, sure. Why not? We're in. And I think that's like a very intense thing, but heck, sure. We'll do it. Maybe. Guys, I'm
Maybe.
a chicken. I'm really trying.
Except when it comes to treetop adventures for my birthday.
I did do that. That is very true.
You did.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so yeah, I think it's about, like I said, figuring out, is there something regional that you guys can do? Is there something that's true to who you guys are? In the case of the wedding we're going to, this is who that couple is. They're adventurous. They're very cool. We're very excited to be taking part in all of that for sure. I think there's also, some parts of the world it's common to have a bridal luncheon, right, for the bride and the ladies. That is apparently a common thing. I don't hear about it much in this area anymore where we are in Pennsylvania. But if not, like if that's not something that you're going to do, feel free to make up your own stuff. Maybe it's something where you guys schedule like mani-pedis earlier in the day together, or there's like a group yoga or cycling or exercise class that you do to like get excited and get jazzed and feel really good. Or are you going to go get your hair and makeup done for that night, or a haircut? Maybe don't get a haircut. Definitely don't get it.
Or go have a picnic in a park and soak up some rays and don't get sunburned. And just like, decompress and relax, like whatever, be true to yourself, get your people involved, get your wedding party involved and the parents and all that kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Because it is a time when everybody's coming together, and bring them in,
Right. And depending on, who you're close with in your family, I can see myself trying to spend some like one-on-one time with just my mom or my mom and dad, just to give them some face time that I know they might want to crave in that moment for sure. Yeah. Dan, all those things are like more, I guess, chick-centric stuff. What are some things you've seen that guys would do in that time together? What do like guys do? What's a boy thing?
Well, so I think there's a lot of things that guys can do, right? Like it runs the gamut from, since maybe all the guys are traveling in and you're all to get together the day or the, a couple days before, maybe you want to have some bro time where everybody gets together and you go play frisbee golf, or you go actually golf, or maybe you go foot golfing, or
laser tag.
Laser tagging. Yeah, we did laser tagging a lot. Not before our wedding, but that's one of my favorite pastimes.
Me too.
Maybe it's maybe you guys go grab lunch, or I know on our wedding morning, I took my guys out and we had breakfast and hung out, and then we came back and one of my groomsmen, Ryan, ran me through some boxing drills because I needed to get some energy out, and I really wanted to go for a run. And this is how you've got good people. All of the guys that were my groomsmen agreed to go on a run with me, considering that the vast majority of them were not runners. They were like, yeah, man, whatever you want to do. And I know that they were all relieved when I was like, oh, we just don't have time for the run. They were all like, oh, thank God, we didn't think we would actually.
Shucks.
Yeah, shucks. But there's lots of things. I know I've seen guys go get shaves the day before.
Ooh, I like
Tip,
that.
fellas, if you have never had a straight razor shave before, do not get one on the wedding morning. Okay, if you've got sensitive skin and you don't know it, like it's an awesome experience, but they work your skin pretty good. So I've seen a couple of guys have get blood all over their collar because their skin was not used to being worked so much by the straight razor. So do that the day before, or maybe try it a couple, maybe a month or a couple weeks beforehand. Maybe go get your hair cut. Get your I didn't get a mani-pedi before my my wedding, but I did get a pedicure with a groom before his wedding when I was out in Chicago, and he was like, "Yeah, man, everybody to hang out with. You want to go?" And so me, Zach, and the groom went out and got pedicures. It was great.
They're awesome. Like pedicures and manicures don't have to involve nail polish. Like that's not necessarily part of it. I don't know if that's what you guys did, but it's just a very nice. Yeah, it's just nice pampering moment, and your fans are going to be photographed as a guy. You're going to be in pictures, so there's nothing wrong with that. I love that so much. I do know, going back to what you're saying about the straight shave, it's actually on my checklist with my couples that I think it's 3 or 4 months before the wedding. That's when you want to test any beauty, any things that you're planning to do for the wedding day and just see how it goes. And that would be a great time to go treat yourself to a straight shave. Maybe plan it around a date night or do whatever it is. Make it a special thing. But I think that's really awesome.
And this is also a good time, fellas, for maybe thinking about if you're going to do like a little extra special something or a gift or any of that kind of stuff, right? Because I remember thinking like I thought way earlier that I wanted to send flowers to our house, right? And I did not remember until the morning of the wedding. So like I called like 1-800-Flowers as I was running around and driving people around and stuff. And called 1-800-Flowers, and the flowers got to our house like basically right as Rachel was leaving. But I think looking back on hindsight's 2020, that I could have done something a little more special. I could have had our florist do something, or maybe I could have written a letter. But I think this is also time, guys, when maybe you start thinking about if you want to do a little surprise or a little something for your significant other to fill up their love tank before you see them on the wedding day.
I think that goes both ways, though. I don't think it's just for the guys to do. I think that's something that like maybe you as a partner could be like, what would my future spouse, what are they going to need in this moment? What are they going to maybe like? What is something something a little extra I can do to make their day, right?
Fill their love tank. Yep.
Yeah, fill their love tank. Exactly. Either way, I would say that as we're talking about all of these things, this is not meant to overwhelm. This is to stir an idea or to be like, oh, trigger a thought, right? But please make sure that you do not overschedule or overextend yourself. This is where you need to be realistic about your time, be realistic about what it is that you want to do in that moment and how you want to spend that time, okay? There's no right or wrong with any of it. And the reality is that there's going to be a lot of people traveling in and arriving those last final days before the wedding. And you can essentially be starting to get pulled in a lot of directions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was just to say that same thing. Like it's, if spending like some alone time or spending just like a little time meditating or going on a walk or whatever that looks like, and you needed a time to decompress. Like, I love to be the center of attention. Danielle, she's like, oh, shocker. Like that, but that doesn't mean that I always want to be on. Do you know what I mean? And I fully enjoy my alone time or my time to like refill my own love tank with a little bit of reading or a little prayer or, whatever that looks like for, you guys out there listening. And I think that you said it best, like, people are going to be pulling you and want stuff from you nonstop, right? Like the thing I hear from so many couples is like the amount of people who are text messaging them, like asking questions. And it's like, did you not read the invitation? Did you not go to the wedding website? It's like all that stuff is on there. And she was like, I was talking with, Katie, one of my past brides, and she was just like, yeah, I just shut off my phone like 2 days before the wedding. She's like, I was done. I'm totally done. And she's like, it was the best thing I ever did, because then I got to, enjoy time with John and my family, and, forget about all the minutia that I had already spent so much time planning. So, maybe unplugging is just what you actually need to do. Maybe
Right.
that's a big part of it.
Yeah. I heard somebody say that they set up a text shortcut thing on their phone, that anytime they would get that, they would just type in whatever, and it would automatically send that person a text saying like, hey, can't wait to see you. Obviously I'm super busy, as you can only imagine. Feel free to text this person your question, and they should be able to help you out. And that person was, already understood that they would be kind of helping to field those questions. And it took that person, they were just sending a quick thing, and that was it. But yeah, you want to decide how accessible you want to be to all of these people, because it's okay if you don't want to be super accessible. It's okay if you want to get yourself immersed right in the thick of all of it. But yeah, I think it is definitely, either way, definitely either one is okay.
Yeah.
You're not a bad person if you want to be by yourself. Is what
absolutely
I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So obviously, there's all this stuff you could plan for other people, whatever. But I think, the obviously other thing we need to do is talk about like finishing all the odds and ends that might be piling up, all the little details and that kind of stuff that you might need to fill out, place cards and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. As much as I believe that you are A+ Gold Star sticker brides and grooms out there, I am realistic in the fact that you may not be able to get it all done by the time you thought you were able to get it all done. If you do, and you did, that is great. And I'm so excited for you. But you know what? There may be a project or two that just needs to wait until that last minute. And it's okay, right? I always say, please do not save any DIY projects that need to happen this close to the wedding day. Please, 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 times a billion, jillion, zillion, do not leave projects like that to the final days. Anything that you can get done in advance, it is so important to get that stuff done in advance, you guys. It's just what it is. So yes, I will always say, please do not save any of that DIY. I think it's also a great time. Like maybe that's where you're in this headspace. Maybe you want to write your partner like a note, not necessarily something that needs to be shared or made a big to do, but you're in this headspace. You're going, okay, this is the week of our wedding, or we're getting married in 2 weeks. Or not 2 weeks, in 2 days, what do I want to tell this person? What's something that I want to give, my thoughts to, and kind of lay it all out there and just tell them what I'm thinking. I think that's also a really good thing. Just to get practical a little bit, there's also things, maybe you have to deliver stuff to your venue, right? All of your things, your menu cards, your table numbers, all of the stuff that has to go. That probably has to happen. You're probably also putting together your the envelopes that have the gratuities for your team. Maybe you're putting together, or you're delivering the hotel welcome bags, all of the things. And speaking of bags too, you also have you have to pack, right? If you're not getting ready at home, you got to pack your overnight bag, right? Because you're going to need things for the upcoming days. And this is going to be like your wedding day attire, your getting ready attire, your after party outfit that hopefully includes sweatpants.
Yeah. Tell it. Come on, Danielle. Tell it. Let's go. Let's hear it. What else is in there?
Your undergarments, your accessories, your
Come on, give it to him. Give it to him. Come on.
Anything you need. Dan, stop it. Dan's doing this because I made a list and he knows it. But it is. I want you to start thinking of it. And honestly, the best thing I think you can do, if you're weeks, months, years, whatever, out from your wedding, start making a list now of everything that you might need, and just like add to it as you think of things, so that when the time comes to actually pack, because you're going to be in like pedal to the ground mode possibly at this point, you'll be able to just go back to that list and be like, okay, I got my cell phone charger, I've got my wallet, I've got my ID, I've got my credit card to check into the hotel, all of the different things. That'll be something that will be very helpful to your future self for sure. Yeah,
if you're like me, your brain is probably running at 1,000 miles a minute, and I've got a catch-all to-do list that, but just when I'm out during the day or running around or whatever, like I don't have a pad of paper. It's just a note on my phone that I just quickly write stuff in there, or do a voice to text or whatever it is. So have something like that, wedding related. Doesn't matter. You don't have to break it down between rehearsal and wedding and this and that. Just one catch-all list, and then you can divvy it up later. But just something that like is a brain dump,
Brain dump, 100%. Yeah, sure. And that's also maybe like a little personal emergency kit, right? That's another good thing to pack with things that are like specific to you. So your lip gloss, your deodorant, your, if you're a lady, feminine products. Ladies, Dan, cover your sensitive ears. Ladies, it is very, very common for a woman to get her period unexpectedly on her wedding day because, as we know, Mother Nature is a you-know-what when she wants to be. So she's going to know you're wearing white. It's going to happen. Just in case, even if your cycle is as consistent as can be, pack something that you normally use just in case. Better to have it than having to figure out when to run out to a drugstore to pick something up. Any medications that you might have that you normally take, all of that stuff. Make a list of it now. Pack it the last few days.
Guys, number one tip from past groom and photographer to you, pack an extra undershirt.
Yes.
Extra undershirt is like the number one game changer because in the morning during the ceremony, it's like, I don't, maybe the ceremony is very important to me, but like after that and pictures, it's a lot of work. Like you're walking around, you're doing all this stuff, you're talking to people, and like before the reception starts, you might just want to like to feel a little like fresher and cleaner. So bring either an extra shirt or an extra undershirt, or maybe both, extra deodorant, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that goes without saying, but yeah, that change, that undershirt change, maybe an extra underpants change, that feels good too. Yeah, make it happen, and it'll feel amazing going into the reception a little bit fresh and tightened up.
I dig it. What if they're not wearing underwear?
No, that's possible too.
You do you guys.
Yeah, shifting gears. This is actually, I think, one where a lot of couples start to really stress themselves out, and that's checking the weather obsessively too early. And I am for sure at fault because Rachel and I checked our weather probably 2 weeks early and then a week early, and it was supposed to rain on our wedding as of like 10 to 6 days out, right? And we're thinking like we're getting ready for it, all that stuff, and literally 3 days out changed over to like beautiful, absolutely stunning, like could not be a better, perfect, picturesque day. And that happens. I've seen that happen pretty regularly, often, where you get rain, a week out, and then all of a sudden it completely changes many times throughout the week leading up to it. So 2 days max is when you can start looking at the weather. That's it.
Well, so
nope,
I think
that's it. 2 days max. Done.
Well, I think
no gray area.
I think you can start looking. I just think don't put too much stress, energy, or resources into worrying about what it's saying. If you want to get a rough gauge and be like, okay, that's currently what it's planning for. At this point, if you need to have your plan B and maybe C in place. So if you don't, then, well, I'm taking away your A+ Gold Star sticker. But that is where you can start kind of gauging. At me as a planner, I'll start looking about a week out just to see kind of what it's forecasting, but I don't put much weight into it or start making any permanent plans until it's like 2 days before. And even then, just to have some real talk with you guys, we've had weather change drastically in the final week. As Dan said, going from 100% chance of rain to a beautiful sunny day and vice versa. So really checking it too soon is just potential torture for yourself, and because it's something you can't control ultimately, right? So you have to have your rain plan, make peace with it. But we have gone into wedding days where even up until an hour before the ceremony, it's saying 0% chance of rain, and all of a sudden clouds just roll in, and within 20 minutes that entire forecast changed. This is not to scare you, just to give you a realistic view of what can happen depending on your region. Obviously there's parts of the world that are just notoriously gorgeous. California, I'm talking to you and you suck as far as I'm concerned. I'm kidding, I love you guys, but here where we are, the weather can just change real fast.
Yeah, I'm going out to Washington State in May for a wedding, and I'm like way excited about it because in the photography community, the West Coast, and especially north of the West Coast, there's it's a different kind of light out there. Different. I don't know. Everybody talks about like the Northern California, Northern United States light, and as photographers, like that's what. The light is everything to us. And so I'm really excited to be out there. We're going to do like some pictures the day before, walk up into the mountains and hang out. And I'm just very excited to be in nice, warm sun, glowing with happy people on the West Coast. It's going to be amazing. Anyway, sorry, continue.
No. I please come back. Don't be like, oh my God, this light's amazing. I'm never going to photograph anything in Pennsylvania ever again. Okay? So you have to make sure you come back to Pennsylvania. It's like Iceland, right? Isn't Iceland? That's why it was for a while there. Well, not for a while, but there was this one thing I saw that it was this little spoof video of that Iceland isn't a real place. It's just Icelandogram, where it's this like continent that was created for Instagram for people to go and take pictures because it's just like the most perfect environment for taking pictures.
Beautiful. Yeah, so that whole thing I don't want to get too much into, but like so the band Sigur Rós is one of my favorite bands for a very long time, and they're from Iceland, and they have a documentary out of like their travels and all that stuff. And for years, like 20 years, I've always wanted to go to Iceland. I've always wanted to photograph there. And I almost had the chance because it was in my bio that I wanted to go to Iceland to photograph a wedding. And I unfortunately had a wedding already booked on the day that this couple inquired. Was like, hey, we're actually kind of interested. Are you available? And I said no. But anyway, and so like maybe a year or two after that, it like blew up. All these people were shooting in Iceland. And I was like, I wanted to do it first. But, I kept my ego in check and took a humility pill. And here I am.
Yeah, here you are.
There
All right, so I want to wrap up this episode. This is actually kind of one of our shorter episodes, but I do want to wrap it up. I want to talk about some like just good health tips, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That we can keep in mind as we go through it all, and just to give, like I said, our future selves a little bit of extra care and love and attention. As I said earlier, definitely keep in mind in the fact that your wedding day is going to be a marathon. It's going to be a very long day. It's not just a day where it's like, okay, I'm up early and I'm staying up late. It's not just that. It is a day where you're on all day. You're getting your picture taken all day. You're in front of your favorite people all day. It is a lot. Okay. So give yourself some consideration, and being hungover on your wedding day is not fun. I've seen it and it's not fun.
Yeah. The two most important things I think you can do leading up to the wedding is one, drink a crap ton of water. I think in general, like most of us don't drink enough water as it is, but like just especially one, like ladies, guys, it helps your skin. If you drink a lot of water, you'll have that nice glow. You're probably going to be drinking things other than water on the wedding day, and you need to have some reservoirs of water and your cells hydrated properly to make sure that you don't pass out. Or that it doesn't hit you like a ton of bricks. Yeah.
So just real quick, a crap ton of water. Can you translate that to ounces for those of us and the metric system over here?
Yep. You're supposed to drink half of your body weight in ounces. So I weigh 200 pounds. I weigh 200 pounds. So I'm supposed to drink 100 ounces of water a day.
There you go.
Which is a lot of water, but I just do my best.
You weigh 200 pounds? Or are you just giving that as an example?
No, I weigh 204 pounds as of this morning.
You're stringing. You're very tall.
I am very tall. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I also think, guys, it's just what it is. I also think that one of the best things you can do for yourself is to hire a planner or a coordinator or a wedding manager.
Agreed.
To pass off a lot of the tasks, because the last week of the wedding, and this is not something that we specifically talked about in this episode, but if you don't have this person, you're also going to need to be confirming with your vendors, making sure that all of the details you've planned are now finalized, confirmed, and reconfirmed with all of these people, because it's important and you're putting a lot of time, money, and energy into this event, and you want to make sure it all goes well. So the more that you can offload to a person who has done this before, knows what needs to be done, knows what needs to be confirmed, knows what needs to be handled, the absolute better for yourself. It is one of those investments that you make for yourself, for your future self, to make it all the more better.
Yep, that's why we hired you, because we weren't even really friends then. I just did it because I knew at how much better we were friends, like we'd worked together before, but we weren't like hanging out.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't hang out till after your wedding, which I think I like that. I like that because it's hard to be a planner for me professionally. It is hard to do what I do professionally for somebody that I'm really close to. I have a hard time with managing that for sure. So, any last thoughts, Dan?
Yeah. So while we were having this conversation and doing this episode, I wrote down one final thing, and I think that is to just enjoy the process. Remember that, like, even while you're in the thick of all this stuff and you're crossing off items on to-do lists and all that stuff, that it's for all the things you're doing are for an amazing, one-time unique event in your life, that like it's for something really good, right? And I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience where like things are so crazy and you're like kind of with the person who means a lot to you, and you're both in the thick of this process of life, and you just kind of like laugh at the situation, right? Rachel and I got real silly the other night because like we were so tired, and nobody was sleeping, and finally everybody went down and we're like doing the dishes, and I was like laying it on thick with some dad jokes and that kind of stuff, just trying to lighten the situation and laugh, and we both just like lost it laughing, right? And it was just like one of those moments where like we kind of cut the tension of like kind of a stressful situation. And leading up to the wedding, there's a lot of stuff. It could be a little stressful. It will be stressful. So find ways to just enjoy that process. And like looking back on it, Rachel's cousin came in, and it turned out that they were like, I don't know if this is the correct term, but like silver level ballroom dancing, whatever. They were amazing ballroom dancers, like incredible. And I remember being in our driveway like 10 o'clock at night with my phone in my back pocket, playing our first dance song, just practicing dancing. And Dan, who is Rachel's cousin's husband, Nikki, was like giving us tips, right? And that's when he taught us the dip that is like one of my favorite pictures from our entire wedding. And it's like it was so ridiculous, right? Like we're running around all day, people are around, people are hanging out, people are asking all this stuff of us, we're running, dropping stuff off at the venue, whatever. And that was just like one of my favorite memories, right? Like we're out in the freaking driveway dancing at like 10 o'clock at night. Our neighbors are probably like, the phone is up super loud. Everybody knew it was our wedding, all of our neighbors. But what I mean? Like looking back on that now, it's just so ridiculous and so silly and so fun. And just don't forget to just enjoy the little stuff as you're going through it, regardless of how crazy it's going to be. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. And you just have to soak it in, every part of it leading up to the wedding, not just the wedding day.
Yes. Well said, Dan.
Thank you.